Well, change of plans. I chickened out. Or you could say I smartened up. I just don't like the way that back tire looks. So I got up this morning and just for grins, I wanted to check on bike shops that were near me. So I've got a couple, because I'm right next to Oklahoma City. So I got a couple of bike shops that are about 2 hours bike ride away. They open up at 10 o'clock. And it was with great difficulty figuring that out because I was having trouble with Wi-Fi in the hotel. And I had one bar on my AT&T. So then I fired up my hotspot, which is Verizon, and there was no service. So I kind of started thinking, you know, what happens in 100 and 105 degree temperature over the next couple of days going into an even more remote area than where I'm at. And my back bike gives me problems. I mean, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna just have to start flagging down people. I mean, that doesn't seem to be the right approach, just because I wanna try to push it. I'm not that knowledgeable on the bike in terms of bike maintenance to be able to really assess it truly. So I'm just gonna bike over to the bike shop. They open at 10 o'clock and see if they can fit me in. It's gonna delay me by a day. The biggest problem with that is I got this, the Salt Plains National Park. I've got lodging reserved, and it's probably non-refundable, so I'm gonna have to kind of figure it out. Maybe if I give them a phone call, I can't imagine it's too busy, you know, this time of year. Maybe they can just push me out because of the circumstances. But either way, I mean, I gotta be safe, and I just don't wanna risk it. Okay, I got to the bike shop, I don't know, 2 hours or so to get here. Bike is wobbling a little bit, especially when I'm going really slow, so I don't have any regrets here. I can only imagine what 150 miles out in nowhere would do. But here's the bike shop. Not a really big shop, but I looked through the window and it looks like they got a lot of good inventory in there, so I'm sure they probably know what they're doing. They don't open for an hour and 10 minutes, so I'm just gonna kind of hang out, keep hydrating, and I figure it was better for me to get here as early as possible. That way maybe they'll take pity on me if they see that I've been out here right when they unlock the front doors, and they can get me in and get me taken care of so I'm not stranded here. Well, here we go. I'm fixed. These guys at Pro Bike, they really hooked me up. I was sitting there waiting at the door. The guys let me in right away, took care of me. I got different spokes, so I had through spokes or straight spokes, and apparently those are not as they're not as common. So all they had were J spokes, and so he had to call around, couldn't find any, and then he kind of figured a way to kind of make the J spokes, modify them and get them to kind of work for him. So it turns out I had 2 spokes broken, so I'm glad I kind of came here and did this. So now what do? I ride 22 more miles back to the place that I stayed this morning. So I've lost a full day, but at least I've gotten this bike taken care of properly. All right, so here's a recap for you. 22 miles to the outskirts of Oklahoma City. Get my bike fixed. 22 miles back to El Reno, only to start tomorrow to head out like I intended to today. But the bike rolls a lot better now. I'm so glad that I did that because, as you guys saw in the other clip, more than one spoke was actually broken. So yeah, I'm glad I actually did that. Here's something else I want to kind of take note. Some of you have kind of asked about weight loss and that I'm looking a little bit thinner. I'm actually gonna show you a short clip of my first attempt camping to try to determine if this is something that I wanted to do. Well, I bit off more than I can chew, at least on this first go around. I guess this is why they say don't just jump right out there, do some test runs. So this, you'll kind of see that I was a little bit heavier. So when I first started, I was in the 220 range, and then I did a couple of weeks of kind of not really training, but just trying to figure out if this is something, if reality kind of met the dream of trying to pull this off, i.e., can my backside handle the seat? Is my back gonna hurt? Is my neck gonna hurt? Am I gonna be too afraid of the vehicles to be able to pull something like this off? Or my legs gonna be able to handle it? So I kind of went through about 2 weeks of kind of training on the trails. And in that process, I lost 4 pounds. And then the first month on the road, I lost another 10 pounds. So when I was back in Fort Worth for the wedding, I went from 220 down to 204. And I haven't weighed since. But I really suspect, especially with this heat, I really suspect that I'm probably going to lose another 20 pounds before this is all said and done. So, I mean, shoot, I could be down in the 185 range.